What's up, Taiwan? I'm Ethan Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Authorities are trying to avert an oil spill after an abandoned Chinese cargo ship ran aground on Taiwan's north coast. The vessel is carrying 247 metric tons of oil and 37 tons of diesel. It was abandoned on Wednesday after becoming inoperable due to strong winds and waves brought by Super Typhoon Conray. It later ran aground near a popular coastal park in New Taipei. Officials plan to start extracting oil from the ship on Friday at the earliest. South Korea has announced new export controls on materials needed to make missile fuel. That's after North Korea's launch of a new kind of advanced intercontinental ballistic missile. Japanese defense officials say the new weapon flew further and longer than any other test, and it comes as North Korea and Russia deepen their security ties. Jaime Okan reports.
In a landmark test from North Korea, Pyongyang has launched one of its most advanced weapons yet. Japanese defense officials say an intercontinental ballistic missile launched early on Thursday used a new kind of fuel, allowing Pyongyang to shorten the time needed to prep and fire the weapon.
今回発射された弾道ミサイルは、飛翔時間が約86分でありまして、これまでで最長の飛翔時間であったこと、などを、総合的に勘案した上で、従来のものとは違うと。こういうふうにご発言があったものと承知をしております。
The launch comes as U.S. and South Korean forces are carrying out joint military exercises, using attack helicopters to practice hitting targets. The two allies have boosted security cooperation following new intelligence showing North Korea has dispatched troops to Russia to support its invasion of Ukraine. The move is prompting concern from the U.S.
The evidence now suggests that North Korea has sent around 10,000 soldiers to train in eastern Russia. And some of these DPRK troops have already moved closer to Ukraine. We urge the Kremlin to change course. We fully understand the security implications for both Europe and the Indo-Pacific.
Russia is defending the move, saying that if the West is assisting Ukraine, Moscow should also be able to receive aid from Pyongyang. But analysts in South Korea say the North's decision to send troops could have a knock-on effect on security in Asia, as it increases the possibility of Russian forces assisting North Korea in the event of a war.
북한군이 손을 들고 파병을 함으로써 이제는 거꾸로 한반도 유사시에 러시아가 군사적으로 개입을 할 수 있기 때문에 그 부분이 저희들한테는 위협이고요. 러시아라고 하는 나라는 한러 간에 특수한 관계가 있었고
South Korea and the U.S. say the North is gearing up for its 7th nuclear weapons test, with many saying the test could come ahead of the U.S. presidential elections. While it's not yet clear how Russia plans to use North Korean troops, security cooperation between both sides looks set to continue. Andy Shui and Jaime Okan for TaiwanPlus.
In just a few days, Democratic candidate Kamala Harris could be making history as the first female president of the United States. At a time of deep division, some local politicians and citizens hope it will be her who rises to the top to unite the country. Jason reports from New York.
New York State Senator Ewan Chu is feeling hopeful about the upcoming U.S. elections. An immigrant from Taiwan, the former journalist is the first Asian American woman elected to the over 200-year-old state Senate, and she believes the U.S.'s reputation as the leader of the free world needs a Kamala Harris win.
Absolutely. About time for us to elect a woman president. She's not going to just become a leader of the United States. She's a leader of the world, and that's a value we need to share with the whole world. How we protect our democracy, how we amplify the freedom.
Chu represents predominantly immigrant neighborhoods in Brooklyn, and the beauty of the community, she says, comes from its diversity.
It's the center of the universe.
Center of the universe.
That's how I introduce. This is center of the universe. I represent Brooklyn.
But diversity and immigration are points of contention in these elections. And with most Americans perceiving the country's politics as divisive and polarized, many are looking to the next president of the United States to close that gap. Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris has vowed to be that leader, vowing compassion and understanding against Republican candidate Donald Trump's rhetoric of fear and hate.
We are not going back. We are not going back.
The California-born daughter of Indian and Jamaican immigrants, the 60-year-old Harris has broken barrier after barrier. She went from serving as California Attorney General to Vice President of the country. Now she stands a chance at becoming the first woman and first South Asian American president of the United States. It's a historic feat that Harris has not focused on in her push for the White House.
Instead, Harris has spent her campaign speaking to voters' urgent concerns like the cost of living. She's pitched policies like building more affordable housing and cutting the cost of groceries, all to create an opportunity economy where people, regardless of their circumstance or background, can benefit from social mobility.
But unlike in New York, a Democratic stronghold, Harris remains locked in a dead heat against Trump in decisive battleground states. Her supporters remaining optimistic that she will nonetheless prevail come Election Day.
We need her. She's the one for this moment.
Sure, it might be uncomfortable. She is a woman. She is African-American, Asian descent, but I feel like Asian culture and African-American culture are like very mainstream parts of American culture now. So I do think people are ready for her in a way maybe they wouldn't have been ready 20 years ago.
While voters in this blue state are more willing to embrace Harris, academics say it'll be tougher to sway conservative voters across the country and overcome deep-rooted sexism.
The United States just has a really difficult job of seeing women in these roles because they have been so heavily masculinized. So the way that we talk about the framers of the Constitution, we call them our founding fathers. The way that we talk about our president is the father of the nation, right? Like these are very gendered terms that many people have a hard time thinking about women in these positions. Perhaps this is the right time for it.
The U.S. government has been becoming more diverse. The number of women in Congress is at an all-time high, with 153 women, about 28% of all members. It's also the most racially and ethnically diverse pool of lawmakers in the country's history. For local politicians like State Senator Chu, the key is to pass the torch onwards.
I'm the only woman senator, Asian woman senator in the whole state, 248 years now. It is my mission to make sure our next generation, they have the opportunity, they have the platform, they have the training, be able to be ready for when the opportunity is there, when we need a new leader.
It's the same message as Kamala Harris's. She is already the first woman to hold the vice presidency and now potentially the top office, and says she will not be the last, pledging to ensure that the United States keeps its spirit as a place of possibilities. Luffy Lee and Joyce Sen in Brooklyn, New York for TaiwanPlus.
We'll be checking in with our teams on the ground in the U.S. all the way through Election Day on November 5th, tuning daily for every report. Taiwan's economy grew more than expected in this year's third quarter. GDP rose nearly 4% from July to September, mainly due to greater global demand for Taiwan's tech exports geared toward AI and advanced computing. Taiwan is critical to the global tech supply chain, with leading semiconductor companies like TSMC supplying major players like NVIDIA and Apple. In sports news, the Los Angeles Dodgers have been crowned the 2024 Major League Baseball champions. They beat the New York Yankees in 5 games in a best-of-7 series. The Dodgers clinched the title after a come-from-behind win, beating their opponents 7-6. This is the Dodgers' 8th championship title. The last time they won the World Series was during the shortened 2020 season. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. I'm Ethan. Take care, and I'll see you next time.